Some missions are designed to fail. Some soldiers are designed to disappear. But truth survives. Ethan Cole hadn't slept since he woke up in the hospital. His mind refused to rest. Every moment he closed his eyes, flashes of the desert, the explosion, and Danny's fading voice echoed through him like ghosts clinging to the edge of consciousness. But now there was something else occupying his thoughts, something that felt even heavier than grief. Coordinates. Coordinates etched into the burned dog tag that had somehow survived an explosion designed to erase every trace of Operation Black Veil. His brother had put them there. Michael, the man the army had labeled a traitor. The man Ethan had once admired more than anyone, and then spent years hating because he believed the accusations were true. Now that he knew they were not, guilt sat inside him like a weight. Ethan stared at the dog tag under the harsh hospital lights. The burn marks crawled across the surface like black veins, but under them, barely visible, were the numbers that would change everything. He whispered, "Michael, I should have trusted you." His voice cracked. The room was silent except for the steady heartbeat monitor. That rhythmic beep was the only thing reminding him he was still alive. But being alive didn't mean much when the world you believed in had turned inside out. He pushed himself upright, every muscle in his body screaming with resistance. The explosion had left him battered, bruised, stitched, and wired to machines that kept reminding him of how fragile he was. But fragility didn't matter anymore. Answers did. Truth did. And after everything that happened, Ethan knew one thing. Truth was the most dangerous weapon in the world. He removed the IV line with a sharp tug. The sting made him grit his teeth, but he didn't stop. He pushed himself into the wheelchair that sat beside the bed. He hated how weak he felt, but he didn't have time to care. He started rolling toward the door. His hands trembled as he moved, but determination anchored him to movement. He couldn't stay here. He couldn't let the army keep him under watch. They thought he was confused, disoriented, traumatized. But the truth was much simpler. He remembered too much. When he reached the door, a shadow slid across the hallway floor. He froze. A tall figure stepped into the dim light, face calm, clothes plain, no insignia, no identifying rank. A man who belonged everywhere and nowhere at the same time. The stranger's voice was low, almost gentle. "Sergeant Cole, if you want answers, follow me." Ethan's heartbeat stumbled. "Who are you?" "Someone who knew your brother." Those 6 words took the air out of Ethan's lungs. His fingers tightened around the dog tag. Michael. The name had become a wound, a memory, a betrayal. And now this stranger spoke it like a key. Ethan hesitated only for a breath, then rolled forward. The man turned and led him down a long corridor, then into an elevator, then into the underground parking garage beneath the hospital. The air was colder here, the kind that stung the lungs and sharpened the mind. Rows of military vehicles stretched into shadow. Their footsteps, or in Ethan's case, the soft roll of the wheelchair, echoed off the concrete. The man stopped beside a black SUV. "Before I tell you anything," he said, "you need to understand that everything you think you know about Michael Cole is wrong." Ethan swallowed. "They said he sold intel. They said he betrayed the country." "They lied," the man replied. "And they killed him for trying to reveal who the real traitor was." Ethan felt a tremor run through him, not from fear, but rage. "Show me." The man retrieved a sealed folder from the SUV and handed it to Ethan. His hands shook as he opened it. A single photograph slid out, a picture of Michael, several years older than Ethan remembered him, but clearly alive long after the army declared his death. He looked tired, thinner, haunted, but alive. Ethan's throat tightened. "He survived. For a while," the man said. "Long enough to uncover something he wasn't supposed to." "And they killed him for it?" Ethan whispered. "They hunted him," the man corrected. "He was a liability, a threat. He knew the identity of the high-ranking officer selling mission intel, and that officer had the power to erase anyone." Ethan already knew the answer before he asked, but he forced himself to say it. "Blackwell." The man nodded. "Yes, Colonel Blackwell." The same man who interrogated you. The same man who expected you to be dead. Ethan clenched the dog tag hard enough for the metal to bite into his palm. Operation Black Veil was never a mission. It was a way to eliminate us. Exactly, the man said. And you weren't supposed to survive. For a moment, Ethan didn't speak. The parking garage felt colder, as if the air itself recoiled from the truth hanging between them. The name Blackwell echoed in his mind like a shot that never stopped ringing. Colonel Blackwell. The man who looked him in the eyes and said the mission had no survivors. The man who showed no surprise when told Ethan had lived. The man who had signed so many papers that decided who lived and who didn't. Ethan's voice finally broke through the silence. How did Michael find out about him? The man leaned against the SUV, crossing his arms. Your brother wasn't just a soldier. Before everything went wrong, he was part of an internal counterintelligence cell. Their job was to detect leaks before they reached the field. One day, mission after mission started going sideways. Teams walked into ambushes with impossible precision. Someone was selling coordinates, troop counts, timing. Michael followed the pattern, and every trail led to one name. Blackwell, Ethan said. Blackwell, the man confirmed. Diplomatic connections, clean record, decorated, untouchable, the perfect shield. Ethan closed his eyes. For a second, his mind drifted back to before everything fell apart. He could see Michael the way he used to be, laughing at the dinner table, ruffling Ethan's hair, telling stories that sounded bigger than life. Heroes aren't what you think, Ethan, he had once said. Sometimes the hero is just the one who refuses to stay quiet. Now Ethan understood. How did they go after him? Ethan asked. My brother. What did they do to him? The man hesitated, then spoke. They didn't arrest him. They didn't bring him in. They sent him on a mission that didn't exist. The world around Ethan faded, and for a heartbeat he felt like he was seeing through his brother's eyes. Michael moved through a narrow alley in a foreign city, his breath fogging in the cold night air. No insignia on his clothes, no backup, just a single objective: meet a contact who claimed to have proof that Blackwell was passing intel. The streetlights flickered, casting sickly halos on the pavement. Somewhere, a dog barked. Somewhere else, a car door slammed. Michael checked the reflection of the corner in a dusty window. Two men walked behind him. Too close, too synchronized, not civilians. He turned left, then right, weaving through a maze of side streets. The contact spot, a small cafe with a flickering neon sign, was up ahead. The sign glowed red and blue, painting the sidewalk in color. Michael stepped closer, every instinct screaming at him that something was wrong. He glanced through the window. The contact was there, slumped over the table, motionless, dead, a bullet hole in the wall behind his head. Michael didn't go inside, he didn't have to. He could see enough from the street to understand. They were ahead of him. They knew. Footsteps quickened behind him. He didn't turn around. He ran. The alley swallowed him in darkness. Shots cracked against brick. He ducked behind a dumpster, heart thundering, mind racing. He had brought a gun, but he knew that this wasn't a fight he could win with bullets. They wanted him silenced, not captured. And the worst part was, whoever was coming for him had the full weight of the uniform behind them. They had radios, orders, resources. He had only time and whatever tricks he'd learned about survival. He escaped that night, but it was the first of many hunts. The first time his own side came for him like he was an enemy ghost. The vision faded, and Ethan was back in the parking garage, gripping the arms of his wheelchair so tightly, his knuckles turned white. You're telling me, Ethan said slowly, that my own brother spent his last years running from the people he once saluted? Yes, the man replied, and he never stopped gathering evidence. Every time they failed to kill him, he pulled another thread. Your brother was stubborn, relentless, almost impossible to corner. Almost, Ethan repeated. The man nodded. Almost. A bitter taste filled Ethan's mouth. How did it end? The man's eyes lowered for the first time, as if what he was about to say weighed more than anything before it. They found him a few months before your mission. He was hiding under an alias, working quietly, off the grid. But Blackwell's men tracked him down. Michael knew they were closing in. Instead of running again, he made a choice. What choice? Ethan asked, to make sure someone else could finish what he started. The man watched Ethan closely as he spoke. Michael reached out to one person he still trusted, someone inside the system but not blind to it. Danny Rivers. Ethan's stomach twisted. Danny? My Danny? Yes, your friend, your teammate. Michael never contacted you directly because he knew you were being watched. Danny, on the other hand, was invisible on paper. Good soldier, loyal. No reason to suspect him. Michael sent Danny a piece of the information, a fragment of the evidence. Enough to make someone inside command nervous. Enough to put a target on your entire unit. Ethan thought back to the mission. Danny had seemed different that day, quieter in the helicopter, less reckless. Ethan had assumed it was just nerves. He knew. Ethan whispered. He knew something was wrong. The man nodded. The moment command intercepted Michael's communication with Danny, they designed Operation Black Veil, a mission that looked legitimate on the surface. Covert insertion, possible high-value target. But underneath, it was a death sentence wrapped in orders. Ethan's mind raced. So they used us to wipe the slate clean. They expected you all to die in an unpredictable enemy response, the man said. No witnesses, no questions. Danny dead. The proof gone. Michael already missing. Blackwell walks away untouched. But I survived, Ethan said. And they didn't account for that. No, the man said, they did not. They did, for a moment. The only sound was the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. Ethan glanced back at the elevator they'd come from. If he went back now, he would return to the same bed, the same doctors, the same eyes watching him like a problem that needed to go away. He turned back to the stranger. Why are you helping me? The man considered the question. Because I owe your brother. And because this has gone on long enough. Ethan nodded slowly. So what now? Now, the man said, you decide whether you want to keep breathing quietly on or start a war you might not survive. Ethan looked at the burned dog tag again, at the faint coordinates hidden beneath the damage. His brother had chosen not to stay quiet. Danny had chosen not to stay safe. His entire squad had paid the price for someone else's corruption. I'm already not supposed to be alive, he said, so I think the war has already started. The man gave the smallest hint of a smile. Then it's time you see what your brother died to protect. He reached into his pocket and placed a small folded paper on Ethan's lap. When Ethan opened it, he saw the same coordinates engraved on the dog tag, this time written clearly, with a single word beneath them. Proof. Ethan swallowed. He was done being a ghost in someone else's story. He was ready to become the problem they couldn't bury. Ethan stared at the coordinates on the burned dog tag, the faint engravings glowing under the dim garage lights like a message pulled back from the dead. This was the last thing his brother had ever protected, the last truth Michael Cole died carrying. Ethan closed his fist around the metal, feeling its weight. It no longer felt like a clue. It felt like a promise. The man beside him spoke quietly. Whatever is waiting at those coordinates, it's the reason they killed your team. The reason Michael died. They will do anything to keep it buried. I'm done being buried, Ethan said. He stood from the wheelchair, wobbling at first but soon steady. The pain in his ribs no longer mattered. His injuries no longer mattered. The only thing that mattered was the path in front of him. One his brother had carved with blood and silence. The man nodded. Then you need to leave now. Blackwell already suspects you know something. This hospital won't be safe much longer. Ethan took a step toward the exit ramp, but the man called after him one last time. Ethan, whatever you find out there, remember something. Michael didn't die alone. Someone was with him at the end. Someone who helped him send that dog tag out of the country. Ethan stopped. Slowly, he turned back. Who? He asked. The man hesitated. His jaw tightened. We never identified him, but Michael called him one thing before he died. The man's voice lowered to a whisper. The informant. Ethan felt a chill crawl across his spine. Find him, the man said. He's the only one left who knows what Michael uncovered. And if Blackwell gets to him first, your brother's truth dies with him. Ethan looked at the dog tag again. The coordinates, the message, the new name, the informant. He stepped into the early dawn, the sky washed in orange fire, and walked toward whatever waited for him beyond the gates of the base. For the first time since waking up, he felt something sharper than fear. Purpose. Michael wasn't finished. Danny wasn't finished, and neither was he. Ethan whispered into the morning air, "I'm coming, for the truth, for all of you." And somewhere, unseen, a pair of cold eyes watched him leave. Parte 3, o informante.